catch anybody off guard. So what about you?
Okay, well, I'll tell you in just a second. We jump into the draft here. Game number 1. We've got DEUS VULT there. Blue, HOMEBOIS on the red. We'll see how the draft pans out. So you're going 2-1. You're going 2-1, DEUS.
2-1.
Okay. If you guys are watching online too, feel free to put your predictions in the chat wherever you're watching. I am going to say that I think it's going to be DEUS VULT as well. I think I hoped that the previous series was a 3-game series. I didn't get it, G. And it's my first day of casting for Games of the Future. Like, so, you know, and with this being my last series for the day so far, like I gotta say, I'm hoping for the 3 games, man. I'm saying 2-1 DEUS VULT as well. So we'll see if it happens. But I want that 3-game series, especially when you're talking about the fact that this is one of these teams' last chances in the tournament. Like, one of them has to go home, right? So already, let's take a look now that we have both our predictions. They line up together. Nolan's being taken out. Harith is taken out. Minotaur by HOMEBOIS. Once again, this could leave a lot of things on the table that we have seen banned out so far for these teams.
Yeah, HOMEBOIS kind of fallen into the their predictable bans that we've seen in the most banned area. They banned out the Menno a lot. They banned out the Faramis a decent amount. And I think DEUS VULT has kind of fallen into that aspect as well. And again, this is just that's the versatility that the teams bring to the field. Though HOMEBOIS have never used Nolan at this point, could this be a time that they would have pulled it out? Maybe, right? So it just goes to show that the teams are kind of anticipating something. DEUS VULT building something that they don't want to see these quick dash heroes. And again, I think this falls into the aspect that I was saying is DEUS VULT is more of that the tactile team, right? They're bringing tactics into the Land of Dawn, and they don't want it. Those are heroes that can break your tactics. One person dies, and they have that right there, and that's the burst ability behind Assassin. So get them off the playing field.
I think that's a good point where you could start, but since we have interesting bans, I mean, for the most part too, like we have seen a lot of Joy being banned out, Harith, of course, Matilda's and whatnot, but still a lot left on the table here, and that kind of, you know, the ball is in the court for DEUS VULT. Like, how do you want to start this draft? Because we were just talking about how important it is to get on that right foot for the best of 3. And this first pick is usually very crucial for a lot of teams, which is still, they could opt for utility and a flex pick to kind of really gauge on exactly what HOMEBOIS wants to do with their first options across from them. But again, too, you know, this is a oh, they take the CC. Okay, so they're going to go with that. But again, these 2 teams, by the way, I know it was a little bit different in terms of roster or whatever, but they did play against each other in M5. Obviously, I think they were both in the same group, if I recall right. They were like Group D, or I think they were last group. And, you know, HOMEBOIS did struggle. Like, they did struggle overall in group. By the way, that was the same group as the Ohio brothers, man. So, you know, they had a group there. So in a way, it's like, all right, we meet again. What has changed? What has developed aside from, you know, a little bit of that roster change? And that's where we see this kind of unfold now in that do or die situation. HOMEBOIS is going to pick up the Guinevere and the Claude. This is 2 picks that we see often picked up here in that first phase of the draft.
Yeah, and I think this is good for HOMEBOIS, right? The Guinevere is just such a flexible pick in the early stage. Again, like we've been saying nonstop, like Guinevere can either go roam, can go jungle. Yeah. It just kind of keeps DEUS VULT on their toes, you know? And then also Claude, that's great late game security, but my God, the Diggy, oh God, HOMEBOIS, watch out, right? This is gonna be rough. It is the signature. If I'm not mistaken, I was watching a lot of M5, and that Diggy was just wrecking havoc, allowing that into the playing field. And again, it's a great counter to the Guinevere, right? You can get out of a lot of the Violet Requiems and keep them at bay. You can also shield your whole team to avoid the Blazing Duets. So, oof.
And, you know, granted the fact, too, whoever moves on from here is going to have to face against AP Brent, right? So that's who's waiting for them ahead of them. And, again, this is where you want to play your best, obviously, your best picks. And this is kind of playing out to be that way. I love that the Diggy was locked in. You can see the answer, though, from Homeboys already to round out that first phase. They pick up the Lancelot, and this is great because really tempo is going to be kind of the name of this game one, it looks like, you know, for the most part. It's like, who's going to get that tempo early on in the jungle? Probably going to be trying to do that with Homeboys' lineup already. But DEUS VULT, they have an answer. They have a great answer to it. And knowing how that so much damage saying came through back from M5 when the Diggy was locked in, I think that's going to be a similar case here, right? Not to mention, too, from group stages, Sunset Lover, who, for me, even back in M5, was a little bit underrated. Like, he was doing crazy things. So far in group stages, I believe he got 3 MVPs, man, for Games of the Future. Like, the guy has 3 MVP for performances. And that's a little scary when you're thinking about if you're Homeboys, right? How? Because we talked about earlier, controlling certain lanes, certain players. And a lot of the times, people naturally went to Kid Bomba because on social media, he was everywhere. And that's why I'm saying, like, Sunset Lover was kind of low-key because the guy, I mean, just looking at his demeanor, even in person, like when you meet him, you know, the way that he is, he's a great guy, but he is a menace in-game. And there's a reason why he got those 3 MVPs for so far for the group stage. So I think if you're Homeboys, you got to control this, man.
Yeah, and you can kind of see that they're going for that route. DEUS VULT is they're kind of setting Sunset Lover behind the scenes, right, and keeping him towards the end. And I think that is kind of what you were saying. Homeboys has to think about that, right? And you can already see that they're targeting jungles mostly right now. And then, interesting, the Odette. If I'm not mistaken, DEUS VULT was the team that pulled out the Odette. So again, they're trying to keep that diversity at bay for the side of DEUS VULT. Now, responding to that, Homeboy still hasn't picked their mage, right? So I think it might be an epic mage battle on who's going to get the better pick here. And I think right now Navaria is still open. So DEUS VULT can either opt to ban it, and they didn't. They go to the Thaw move. So Navaria is still open. Nana is still open. Like, 2 of the heaviest hitters in the mage lanes are still open.
That's a good point. I'm wondering, though, too, exactly, and this is the threat of a Diggy, too, right? I mean, you have to really... You really have to think about what you are going to put, even in the mid lane, right? I mean, for the most part, you try to opt for some of that burst if you can, because if you can actually get that times journey out early, then that gives you a huge advantage when it comes to the team fights or even early skirmishes, you know? So that might be something that Homeboys really wants to opt for. Now, you know, we've seen a lot so far of Nana coming through, and that can work. Like you mentioned, Novaria is open because if you're really on point, there it is. There's Novaria. It's going to be locked in. Because what I was going to say is when you're really on point, able to just kind of whittle down the team, it already puts more pressure on utilizing that times journey. Not saying to trigger it right away, but to the point where it's like, all right, we approach this objective fight or this turret push. We're whittled down to half health because of Novaria across from us, and we have to deal with this. Interesting pick here. The Vexana comes through.
I think the reason they picked Vexana here is that we can kind of see what Homeboys is going with right here. They're all about getting in, getting out as quick as possible. We've got the Claude, we've got the Lance, and the Guinevere. So I like that. They needed a little bit of solid CC on the side of DEUS VULT, and Vexana brings quite a bit of control to some of the team fights, and it could be an interrupt for some of the quick in and out tactic that we see Homeboys take an approach. But I think Homeboys is quite squishy, so they're gonna need something front lane focus right here to take on DEUS VULT, because you can already see they got the CC, they got the Brats, they got the Diggy. Like, you're gonna have to fight through a lot.
Dude, the thing that scares me about this is the fact that if you just look at DEUS VULT, like their lineup, and then you factor in the ultimate, the Eternal Guard of Vexana, and then you have like this big giant dinosaur as well in Barrett's. Like, it's kind of it seems like there's so much to work through if you're Homeboys, right? I mean, for the most part. And there's a lot of kind of CC that can be countered with a Diggy pick. So again, if you're Homeboys and they round it out with a Lapu Lapu, I think this is, both lineups are very interesting here, G, because it adds a certain dynamic to it. And you have to consider too, like the Eternal Guard alone is actually quite annoying to deal with, right? For a lot of these teams, especially when it comes to these objectives. So like you've got like a mini Lord to help you out. So with all that saying, we are going to be jumping into the Land of Dawn. Once again, game number 1 here, second match of the day, DEUS VULT versus Homeboys into the playoffs for games of the future. One of the teams has to go home, and it starts here in game number 1, already getting the flicker out from Udil.
Yeah, and kind of just doing maybe some, like, focusing on some win conditions here for both sides, right? Homeboys, I like their approach. Like, if they can't CC enough for on the side of DEUS VULTs, they can just bring all the aggression that they possibly can to the playing field. And if they're able to capitalize on that and use their aggression to their advantage, I think DEUS VULTs could be at a little bit of a trouble. But I think, again, DEUS VULTs has the safer team comp, right? Like they're thicker, they're just overall, harder to kill, and they have the anti-CC. So I think DEUS VULTs has the better team fight, but I think Homeboys has the better advantage to control the map. Yeah, so I think I'm solo right now, Naisu. I don't think you're on here, by the way. Yep. Kind of just talking about what's going on in this game. We can already see that Homeboy is able to secure the first blood onto Solo. Huge plays by Homeboys at this point. Definitely interesting takes from both sides. And we can kind of see that DEUS VULT's going to clap back. Magister able to take out Zorn at this point, and now going to be invading on the side of Homeboys. This is a good take. Oh my God, what a torn apart memories on the Chibi there. Securing the kill. Again, DEUS VULT's just super aggressive.
Wow. All right, I just came back from a journey again, my own time journey. And I come back right to the shot to the face. Good setups there. With that, how they're going to go ahead play around that. 2 kills already for DEUS VULT. Tempo is pretty much what we're going to be talking about. Already flickering out to Udil once again. That Eternal Guard there, going to chase him down, keeping him from going back to the base a little bit longer. Still in the bottom lane, though. Look at the focus there. They're going to land the Requiem, and Kid Bomba gets taken down bottom side. A lot of cross-map action play happening.
Yeah, I mean, the aggression from both sides have been great. Does look like DEUS VULTs is definitely controlling a little bit more of the map and a little bit of that economic lead as well. Great flicker utilized or bait out by the side of DEUS VULTs. Magister controlling the map with this Barats at this point. Again, still 2-2. So, man, what is your take? It looks like they're about to possibly maybe gank the top lane, and I think that is where they need to start targeting.
I think, again, DEUS VULT having this bit of a lead that they have, G, is great. They can work around it. Kills went into the fact too that Hiko was able to grab one of those early ones will help him scale up pretty well. I mean, that's what Brody does best. As he already picked up his first big item. He's got the blade. Now the Turtle's just seconds away from spawning here. You're gonna see both teams kind of hold off, wait for it, get in position the best they can. Magister there has quite a few stacks as well. Turtle comes up. And we'll see, right? We'll see if the finesse from Chibi can be pulled off here. That's kind of what has to happen. Jump in, going through. Not going to find the connection, though. Turtle's going to go ahead and reset for now, though. Zorn taking some poke damage, though, from Kid Bomba. Goes in, Sabat trying to keep him at base, still going to be fighting for him. Jumping in, there's the Eternal Guard. Meanwhile, Turtle's still going to be worked on as well. Bottom lane gets the action, there's the pop-up. Turtle goes over to Chibi though, and now still going to be working on it. Magister on the run, Kid Bomba there. Nobody falls, but the objective is secured.
Yeah, but while all of that is going down, look at that top side. The pressure by Hiko there, and then oh my god,
Hiko does it again.
Oh my god, you know, Hiko's name's almost like Aiko but spelled with an H, and I love it. I love it. The torn apart memories just decimating Homeboys at this point. We can kind of take a look at some items, and I think the biggest pickup that we're seeing is the Blade of Hep there for the side of Hiko is just dominating, and I think that's where the economic lead is coming from. The lane swap's already happening, and I think that's going to be a hard fight for CPAT at this, as well as you can see Sao constantly with him, but a response here by Homeboys.
Yep, and right now pressure on this bottom side, but good rotations all around for the most part. Hiko now also picking up the Malefica Roar. Hold on, Magister gonna get set up here. Multiple members gonna focus him down. Can't get away just yet. One hit though, and he gets away with sliver of health. What a play. Great job there from Sunset Lover to be there for him.
Yeah, and I that's just the amount of CC that DEUS VULT has. And it's not a lot, but it's enough that allowed Magister to escape. And we can kind of see that is what Homeboys is lacking. They have a decent amount of damage, but I think that they have to rely on Zorn, right? Utilizing that Violet Requiem is going to be the make it or break it, and they use that to secure the turtle. So building upon that, Homeboys has to keep that up.
Wow.
Keep that pressure up.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Sabat with the damage. Hiko gonna be in trouble. Nice land from Zorn there. Able to get the kill under the turret. Another one falling for DEUS VULT. Homeboys clapping back here and now setting themselves up here for this turtle. Sunset Lover and Magister here. Down 2 members though. They're gonna want to stall this out the best they can. Homeboys though, just looking for more. Sao gonna fall as well alongside the turret. And Homeboys making some decisive maneuvers here currently. Sunset Lover, Magister, still trying to hold it down. Not sure if they actually want to commit to this, just let it go. We'll see if they decide to do that. Homeboy still in position. Gonna go ahead and work on that Lith Wanderer as well. Get that if they can. Hiko now part of the Sapat. Look at the positioning. He might look for his own entry point. DEUS VULT, they're going to be going. Sapat goes in, jumps in, right on Sunset Lover. There's the Eternal Guard, though. Turtle taken by Chibi once again. Time Journey has to go through. Sapat is taken down by Hiko, but Zorn will find the Requiem into the spatial migration. Out of there he goes. The 1-for-1 trade still working for it. Zorn on the run. Won't be able to catch him, though. DEUS VULT trying to fight back.
What engages right there? That is probably the longest turtle fight into an initial fight that we've ever seen here. And again, DEUS VULT's still leading though. And I think that comes down to that it seems like Homeboys is so aggressive. Look at Zorn here though.
Oh, ow. Man. Okay. You can... the damage is intense, right? And they got to kind of keep it in check. Homeboys, though, the fact that they were able to even out the gold for the most part with those plays that they just made is great, right? Considering how the early game went, and there was some really good scaling for Hiko. Well, now that's not the case here, G.
No, I mean, and that goes to show that Homeboys really have to rely on Zorn. And I think also not only that Homeboys are really utilizing the map to their advantage. It's like a chess play at this point. We are seeing so many of Homeboys just patiently waiting in a bush and taking advantage when they can. Now, from the side of DEUS VULT, they have to figure it, like, they see that. They're getting caught off guard, left, right, up, down. They got to keep that in check. And I think that comes into play that when the mid game approaches here, Homeboys might have a little bit of the advantage. But also DEUS VULT, right? They're going to be coming online. I think they're going to get more defensive. So the bursting that Homeboys has right now could fall off into the late game. So I think right now, DEUS VULT, both teams are 50-50.
So with that, again,
Oh
hold on, top lane again. Going to be able to find the knock up here. Kid Bomba going to be in trouble here. One more hit away, gets the regen though. Can he land a shot? Udil looking for it, but not going to be able to connect anything here. Lord's now up though. Both teams going to be working on it. Eternal Guard coming down, crashing down, gets the flicker. Zorn still on the fight back for Sunset Lover. Meanwhile, DEUS VULT working on this Lord. Sapat goes in, Chibi trying to get the turn. He gets the Lord, takes it from under their noses, and with that, DEUS VULT strikes some kills, but they lose the Lord to Homebois.
Yeah, and one of the key plays to point out there is that Magister tried to utilize the Daytona welcome on to Chibi, but missed. And Chibi was able to dash in and secure the Lord. Oh, Violet!
Again, Zorn right there. Sunset Lover going to be in trouble now. Kid Bomba once again alongside Magister. Still a couple hits away, couple shots. Net's going to be able to grab it. Still working for it. 2 down. DEUS VULT. Resources for the taking. Lord on the top side. Homeboys are looking to make the play.
Yeah, and I mean, there's 2 down on DEUS VULT. Full Lord kind of barreling down. I think Homeboys at this point are going to be... This is a good Lord for them. Allows even more breathing room. And the 50-50 now leaning into the favor of Homeboys. They're able to utilize this Lord to clean up the map and essentially take out a lot of the towers. And DEUS VULT's going to have a hard time now, right? Because they're not going to have the escapability that Homeboys has. And it's just... It's crazy to see that Homeboys' aggression. They're just breaking apart DEUS VULT's just tactical plays here, and I think they're taking advantage of the mistakes that DEUS VULT are making.
It's great too because for Homeboys, they were able to get this lead that they needed. They have the space to work around with. DEUS VULT, though, they have to be able to find their own pickoffs, right? They have to be able to utilize what they've done so far, and they could be doing it right here. Daytona's a welcome into the wall, into the Eternal Guard. Udil's out of the picture. They get the flicker out from the rest of the team. Still working on it, though. Mid-turret, though, as well. Good BMI on the defensive earlier. Now Time's Journey going to be taken out. Setbot gets the kill on Sawo. He goes for more into the blazing duet. Nets chasing him down, trying to get the kill. He gets it on Sunset Lover. Still going for more. They have to respect the damage from DEUS VULT. But what a battle here in the mid lane.
Yeah, and look, they're about to Kid Bomba in a little bit of trouble.
Oh. Still going to be in trouble. Kid Bomba regens it back, gets the kill, but look at the mid lane. He goes the one to fall. Sapat again is insane on this Lapu Lapu. Tanks some damage, eventually goes down. Double for Kid Bomba.
Both teams are just like, it's like a rock'em sock'em robot match at this point. 1 goes down, 2 goes down, 3 goes down, and then they can consistently keep up the battle. And again, I think that's that 50-50 mark, and it's just tenacity on both sides. It could be anybody's game at this point. We are seeing DEUS VULT kind of coming online now. Their damage is starting to scale up into this mid game, and just the burst that Homeboys brought into the early stage isn't there. We can kind of take a look at some items. We do see Claude. Look at this. Almost has everything built already. So I feel like that's going to be a key factor there. Oh my. The back door.
The back door. They're going for it. This is exactly what I was talking about. The nothing but nets play. But he's also alongside one more as they push into the base. They have to deal with it. DEUS VULT. They can't even commit to this Lord right now. The pressure's too much. Do they want to fight for this? Sunset Lover picking up the Divine Glade in the midst of the fight. Lord's going to reset, though. The pressure already put on. Homeboys regrouping here. Still working on it, holding the Lord under that half health mark. 1/4, still going. Setbot's gonna be jumping in. Daytona's welcome into the wall. Will get taken out. Now still gonna be out and out. Chibi gets the Lord. Oh, it all breaks through. Hiko trying with the torn apart memory. Udil still able to survive. Look at the shots though. The damage from Novaria. Able to get 2 down of DEUS VULT. They lose the Lord as well. They're on the defense once again.
I gotta say, right now, Homeboy's retry game is on point, right? It's just Homeboys, they're securing a lot of the neutral objectives. Second Lord going into their favor. DEUS VULT has to respond to this. You know, in the beginning, I suspected that DEUS VULT's comp was a little bit better, but it goes to show that Homeboys is just bringing that aggression left and right. Lord now barreling down, full HP on the left side. Can they mount up a defense here? I don't think Homeboys can take it here, but we'll see.
We'll see. They're going to have to deal with this. Lord making quick work of it, so still holding on the best they can. Right now, Homeboys, they'll win for the next waves to push in. They want to get this mid and bottom turret down. Poke damage is going to be there. Still holding it together. Eternal Guard also playing that front side. And right now, DEUS VULT keeping these two turrets in the base.
It's good. This is the defense that DEUS VULT needs, and I think they're essentially going back to the drawing board in game at this point. They need to find and take control of the map. The river control is going to be a key factor here. You were saying it earlier, Naisu, is that I think that they really need to get a pick, right, and a key pick, as Nets is 2-0-4 hasn't been stopped just yet, and I feel like that is the winning factor for Homeboys. Now, also, the Bratz is having a hard time getting his stacks. Look at the little dino on the field. He is just so tiny. And I think that's kind of playing into a factor on the DEUS VULT, is that not having their jungle, not having control of the map is it's rough.
It's rough. And that's why we were talking about in the draft here, G. The tempo that was going to be set, you know, and for that early game, DEUS VULT did have that little bit of lead. And Homeboys able, wow, look at the Nets playing very risky here, but we'll be fine. But again, tempo, and like you said, Chibi's been on point with a lot of those retributions so far. Yeah, controlling it. Zorn, this is what we were talking about as well. The roam potential here. He's going to get spotted out with Kimbomba. Not sure if they actually just want to continue to commit. They don't. He's back to safety. All this, the push and pull, 30 seconds away from the Lord.
Yeah, and again, I mean, we can kind of look at Claude full build, Brody missing one item, but almost at the damage point. Now, the biggest difference is that we are seeing both have Wind of Nature's already secured, and Homeboys controlling the map. Again, I think this is the hardest part that DEUS VULT is fighting against, is that they're trying to take what they can, but if they walk into a bad position, it could make it or break it for them. Homeboys are trying to trap them into that, and you can already see here.
Yeah, right now, once again, the fight for the Lord, half health here. Both teams waiting patiently. Chibi on point for the majority of the game. It's going to go ahead and reset. Nothing just yet. Soft reset for now. Still pulls it out of the pit. DEUS VULT has to be careful how they approach it. Look at the pressure, though, already in the mid lane. Zorn gonna find the knock-up on Kid Bomba. Takes a couple shots. Nets has to back off, though. Sunset Lever on the hunt. Does have the immortality. It's gonna get popped here. They have to fight this out. Still gonna be going. Look at the damage, though. Chibi comes through, finds the execution, gets the double on Hiko. Finds more, still working. Sunset Lever's gonna be down, 3 down so far. Looking for the 4th. Kid Bomba gets the kill, but another member on the run. Still looking. Chibi, finesse. Looking for Kid Bomba, one hit away, but the shot from Udil, and that will make it for Homeboys as they take game 1.
Wow, that was crazy. Homeboys being able to take game 1. DEUS VULT pushed back against the wall there. Wow. My God.
Love the call that they had there at the end. You know, and as we take a look at the highlights here for this game, you're going to see exactly what we were talking about. That was already 7 minutes in, but tempo-wise, you know, it was very back and forth early on, but Homeboys just did a great job at punishing Hiko, who was scaling really well early on with the Brody. And then it turned into a lot of this just the Rock'em Sock'em robots, man. Like, that's what it was.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I'm telling you, they were both punching KO punches left and right. And I think DEUS VULT might have had a little bit of tunnel vision, right? Because they were winning in the early, the gold lane already securing the tower within like the very first couple minutes of the match. And then they swapped lanes, and HOMEBOIS just took advantage of that. And they left the breathing room when we seen Magister make the mistake and missing the Daytona's welcome onto the Lancelot, and I think the Lance just came into play, right? It was just a huge play. Bratz wasn't able to do anything. DEUS VULT's lacking a lot of CC, right? They didn't have any control besides Sunset Lever, and I think that it just fell into the hands of HOMEBOIS, and their aggression was on point. It kind of seemed like everybody was kind of split apart. Fights happening on the left when the Lord was supposed to be the major objective, and HOMEBOIS coming out on top.
Yeah, again, you can see them really celebrate that win, because that ending was just all around, you know, every single lane that you saw there, every corner covered, nets. Man, this is what I'm used to seeing, like, from Nets, so especially on a Claude pick, right? Like, you saw it early on. It wasn't a game-winning push, but the pressure that he puts on the side lanes, especially if he's a Claude, it's either Claude or Bruno for him. It's dangerous, you know, and that's kind of what we saw here. And if it wasn't controlled, then that could have actually been a game-winning push before we even got to that amazing ending here.
Yeah, and that was the wild part is HOMEBOIS. They, again, I think what really came to be a major factor here is that they were